All right, we're back for another episode of the Mortgage Broker Podcast and continuing on with the Behind the Broker series. Today we had a very special guest, Lena Larsen from Calgary, Alberta, one of our top agents with a Better Way Mortgage Group, and has just had some incredible success and growth over the last 4 years. She's been a broker for 20 years in the industry, but the last 4 years have just had some incredible growth, and she shares some really key nuggets that I know are going to help me even just in my day-to-day. And I know for a fact that any of our listeners, listening can certainly take away some good stuff here. So make sure you have your notepad handy. In addition to Lena, Cory Vance, our business partner in Calgary, Alberta with the Better Way Mortgage Group, is actually my co-host. He has a great relationship with Lena, and he just really added and complemented the conversation. So I think you're going to really enjoy this one. We'll pass it off to the team and hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the Mortgage Broker Podcast, tailor-made for Canadian mortgage industry professionals. Proudly presented by a Better Way Mortgage Group, this podcast is your trusted source for insider insights, market updates, and strategies to elevate your career in the ever-evolving world of mortgage brokering. Whether you're a seasoned broker with a Better Way Mortgage Group or an industry enthusiast looking to stay ahead, our episodes are designed to empower you with the knowledge and tools you need to excel in the Canadian mortgage space. Thank you so much, Lena, for joining us on the show. This is an honor to have you on the show, especially given that we're able to do this virtually. You're in Calgary, and you've become one of the biggest stars in our brokerage and somebody that we can all learn from. So I appreciate you jumping on and the willingness to share. I know you got some great stuff to share with us, but I really just want to start off by welcoming you and just learning a little bit about your background and what led you to become a mortgage broker and ultimately keep being a mortgage broker, because we all know this business is going to be challenging at times. So yeah, welcome to the show and thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I was very humbled and touched that you actually extended this invitation to me. So yeah, excited to be here.
Cory's here as well, partner in Calgary. And it's really going to be an interesting show because you have an interesting past and what ultimately led you to immigrate to Canada and then what led you to become a mortgage broker. Why don't we start there? Let's go right back and start from the beginning.
I am originally from Russia. I have a law degree in Russia. So I just graduated from law school in Russia, completed my 1 year of articling. Then I met my husband in Petersburg. He was from Canada. He was traveling. That's how we met. 4 months later, I found myself in Canada. I realized that if I wanted to be a lawyer in Canada, I had to go back to school from day one. And I wasn't too keen on that. So I was looking at other career opportunities. At that time, we bought a house. I looked at real estate, decided that I didn't want to be a realtor. My realtor, who was awesome, she said, forget about your weekends and evenings if you want to be a busy realtor. So I talked to my broker and she said, yeah, this is what I do. And I got excited about that career path, took my course, got my license, and here I am.
Wow, that's quite the story. Obviously, there's a bunch of detail in between when you become a broker, and so maybe talk about when you became a broker and how that transition was, and how long you've been doing it for.
I've been doing this for, I think it's 20 years now. So when I took my course, I missed my deadline to sign up for the course. So I did it all remotely. I got my big binder, took 3 months, studied I can be very determined. So I studied 8 hours a day, then took my test, passed, and then was excited I could do mortgages, but I realized that I don't know how to do mortgages. The course did not teach me that. So I was very lucky to join a brokerage that was willing to train me as a brand new agent. And then, over time, it took me, I would say, a good 3 years before I could say I know what I'm doing. Right? My very first deal, I think I waived financing twice. First time, and then a week later, I said, okay, now we can definitely waive financing. And the realtor is like, what do you mean? So yeah, it was a lot of learning. 3 years later, I could say that, yeah, now I know what I'm doing. I know what lenders are looking for. You learn every day because the industry is evolving all the time.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like just thinking about how little we have at our disposal once we become a broker from a perspective of like how do you even look at a credit bureau, let alone understanding lender policy. And it's the edge that bankers always have coming into the industry from their past of like just learning, getting a really a university education on all things credit and finance. But for somebody like yourself that just comes from literally no background, and boom, here you have a mortgage broker license, like that's pretty difficult. And having the support of mentorship is huge. And luckily we have such a great industry, a collaborative industry of people that are willing to help, but more so like even just the lender side of things too, right? Like how supportive our lenders are from a BDM perspective, just what they're willing to do and help us push those things along. But maybe just chat about like that side of it, like who other than the mentorship from your brokerage, like was there any other areas that you found helped you get up to speed and really feel comfortable? Like 3 years, that's quite a bit of time, but that's understandable that it would take that much time. Like is there any key moment or person or support service that kind of got you there beyond mentorship?
Lenders were very helpful. I realized if I start reading emails they were sending out about their promotions, about their products, if I actually paid attention to those emails and asked questions, I could learn more. So I found that was super helpful. I also found like with our brokerage, with a better way, there is a lot, there are so many learning opportunities. Like even the fact that every Tuesday we have lender call, brokerage wide. And I got very busy over the last year, so I didn't follow those meetings. So I came back, I don't know, like maybe you've noticed like 6 months ago, I started attending them as well again, because I wanted to expand my horizons and my lender base. So I don't gravitate to the same lenders all the time. And when I listen to those lenders, I'm like, I have a deal for you. Like you have this exception, and I actually just got an approval on a deal that I didn't think was possible to do on A side. So all those training opportunities are extremely, extremely helpful, and a better way does it. Um, so as long as like as I attend and pay attention to them, I think I'll keep growing too and learn more.
And that's that continuous learning piece, Lena. Like even with you having some ultra successful years, you kind of went away with that because you were busy in the business, but found I need to figure out what else is happening in the industry, and attending those lender calls or different events that we do become very, very important because it is ever changing, even with the amount of volume that you were doing.
Yes, absolutely. And also like listening to a Better Way podcast, like I discovered it and I started listening. And one of the subjects was about next year and how we're going to have a boom of renewals. Is it like 1.2 million mortgages coming to renewal, which is mind blowing. And when I listen to it, I'm like, okay, I need to get ready for it. Right? Like just all these nuggets of information that you could just say, how does this apply to me? What can I do better to be better? Right?
Totally. I mean, you mentioned like there is so much, right? Like you think about the emails, like reading those emails, like how many emails do we get a day? It's very difficult to actually sift through everyone. But it's when you think about like earlier in your career, and actually that is when you have the time to read those, and that's when you should be reading those. And like for anyone that would be listening that is relatively new to the industry, like take the time to read those emails, but more so take the time to join any sort of training learning call, whether it's you're in a Better Way broker or a broker at another brokerage. Like if those are going on, like that's so important, because to your point, like think about that deal that you wouldn't have funded if you didn't know about that policy. And just because you're on that call, like that could be anywhere from a $2,000 to $5,000 commission that you wouldn't have had just because you were there. And then you think about like the supportive lenders that we have, like never hesitate to reach out and use their time. And even like the face-to-face connections, we totally got away from that, with COVID and everything else. But like those face-to-face connections, actually building a relationship go a long way too, right? So I think that's just such a great point. Is just even somebody like yourself that's so busy are still making the time to jump on that call and learn. With that, like I think one of the things that interests me the most about you is just you're constantly trying to get better. So even, expanding on that piece, like going into coaching, what led you to hire a coach and motivate you to ultimately grow as a professional?
I've been in the industry for a long time, and there were years where I felt like I was just spinning my wheels, so I was busy, but not busy enough, right? Or it would get really, really busy and then dead, right? So, and I thought, how can I create consistency? I don't want to work more. I just want to be productive when I'm at work. And at the same time, my family is super important to me. They're the reason why I do this, just to provide a good standard of living, but at the same time, to be a present mom and wife. And I attended a bunch of seminars, like Dustin Woodhouse came to Calgary with his seminars. I read his books, and I was like, his books completely so much impressed me. And I thought I was dialed in, but after I read his books, I'm like, no, I don't have it together at all. So just attending all those seminars, and then finally I was ready to take the next leap and join a coaching program, which is the core training. It's out of the States. I joined as level 1. How they discovered me and I discovered them, I was just stalking them online because they have a lot of YouTube videos. Like, you can download all their forms, and I knew exactly what they were doing, like what I needed to do, but I didn't do it. So then they discovered me too, because they saw that I was stalking them and signing up for all their recordings and podcasts, and they started calling me, and I was completely ignoring their phone calls. Until one day I decided, you know what? I'm very excited about this program. If I want to try it, why not now? So I joined level 1. And that's just the accountability piece, because I had to fill out greatness tracker every week to show my activity for prospecting, for meeting with realtors, and thank you cards I sent out, because I had to complete those forms. And I knew that I would have to answer about like what activity I've done. That just ballooned my business right there. And it was incredible. Then the next step was, how do I keep it up? So they said, you got to hire an assistant. And I'm like, I don't need an assistant. I got it. Like, I can do this. I don't need somebody I need to worry about, that I need to pay them. But then little by little, they convinced me. Then I hired an assistant, and just things became more, because now I freed up my time. I was not in the files as much. So yeah, I would say coaching has been like a huge part of this success. I also talked to Cory about coaching prior to that, right? Like he also kind of talked to me about the core. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey, I would say.
But with all those tools, and as you said, like, you were accessing the tools and the information that was free, that you didn't have to pay for, but yet that didn't move the needle, right? And I think you said it, and this is the point that needs to hit home with everyone, is that accountability is what moves the needle. And then you put the work in, right? Because you can listen to a bunch of these podcasts, and if you don't action or be accountable to someone, yourself or somebody else, then that's what really makes the difference. And that's what we've seen as your business has blown up, is that accountability is makes all the difference.
Exactly, because we all have good intentions, but then you have a busy week, and then you don't make the calls, you don't make an active effort to meet with a realtor for lunch or for coffee, just to say thank you for their business, for referring you. And then several weeks go by, and then you look at your deals that you're closing, and it's half than what you usually close, right? So we do have good intentions, but then life gets in the way. And if we know I have to answer for my what I did this week, you kind of try to tweak your schedule. You try to be better with your schedule, have a to-do list, right? Just to make it all happen. And when you know, okay, I got to be done by this time because my son has a soccer practice. So you try to fill it in and become more efficient and effective and productive, right? Which is something I still struggle with. Like, time management is something I work on all the time. Like, I think most of the people who try to do more, right?
Hey everyone, Dean here. Quick timeout from the episode to share with you the ABW Tuesday Mortgage Memo, your weekly market highlights sent directly to your inbox every Tuesday. This is certainly one you're not going to want to miss, so make sure to sign up now. You can do so with a link in the show notes, or you can head to joinabw.ca and sign up there. This is a high-level summary of market developments, regulatory updates, and housing trends every Tuesday. So hope you enjoy it, and back to the show. Time management is such a big piece, and I want to touch on that. I think we all struggle with that, and there's certain tools that help. Time blocking, it seems to be a consistent one that comes up. Going back to the coaching, I know the core system very well. I know how it's militant. It's like there's no like accountability. You definitely get that if that's what you're looking for. Like the core is going to give you that, and for me, like that was an important thing that I needed earlier in my career. How, like, I just want to dive a little deeper there. Like, when did you start coaching? How long has it been? And did you, I know from a core perspective, tracking is a big piece. What was the volume that you had annually when you started to where you were when, you are now? And what did that bump look like?
When I joined the core, my volume was, I think, 15 million at that time before I joined them. And then the first year with the core, it was 25 million at the end of the year. And then it was 32.
Wow.
Last year was 37. This year, I think it should, like I'm just tracking my numbers, I should be closer to 40 million.
Wow.
In volume. I also looked at my just recent, because I keep all my forms, like all my greatness trackers. When I was in level 1, so when I jumped from 15 million to 25 in 1 year, I looked at my greatness trackers now, that because I'm at level 3 coaching now, so it's the highest level of coaching. And they are like their requirement that your greatness tracker must be filled 100%, 85% of the time. Right? So, and it's a lot. It's a lot. So you basically have to have 4 break breads with a referral partner a week. So it could be coffee or lunch. So 4 of those a week. You need to have 15 face-to-faces with the prospecting, like a prospective clients or past clients. So it could be Zoom. Zoom is allowed, but that's the hardest part for me to fill. 15 face-to-faces. It's a lot. Like if I just could go for lunches and just see people, but then I don't do any work. I need to still work. And then 75 great conversations every week.
Wow.
And a lot of people you call, they actually bumped it up. It used to be 60 great conversations because it's tough times in the States in the lending industry. Like they're really, really struggling.
Yeah.
But the core has always done great, right?
Yeah.
So now they bumped it up to 75. And if you make a phone call, it doesn't mean that somebody will answer, right? So you actually have to have those conversations. 20 thank you cards, which I'm really bad at. And also attending events, right? Where you have an opportunity. So it's just your prospecting efforts.
Yeah.
Do I have 75 conversations every week? No. Right? But I probably have more than most.
Yeah. Well,
And what
absolutely.
and what the core says, if your greatness trackers, like if you put your best effort, and their motto being militant, no matter what. If I fill my greatness trackers mostly to what they would like to see, 2 months later, like I'm blowing up. Right? Like I have so many deals coming in, I have so many closings, right? But I still need to keep those prospecting efforts going.
Yeah. That's incredible growth. Like that really is. And like, especially in this time, like a lot of folks are having record worst years, in their career right now. And just given all the change, everything that's going on, high interest rates, for you to power through and have that type of growth is it really is incredible. And like, it is the consistency, right? Like, yeah, you might not hit those 75 conversations. You might not get the 4 breaking bread with realtors or what have you, but you're constantly revisiting it every week and trying to, hit it every week, where, a lot of folks when that's not on their radar, they don't have a greatness tracker, they have no system in place to actually get better and do those actionable items, then like nothing happens. So at least, when you say, yeah, you're doing more than most, you're doing a lot more than most, which is clearly proving the results, which is quite incredible, actually. Yeah, congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you. Their big focus over the last year was realtor relationships, because they believe a big part of business should come from realtors and past clients. So because they kind of brainwashed me how I always need to be looking for new realtors. It should be always on my radar, and looking for good, busy realtors who are like top producers, right? So I always also try to, like, let's say if I have a new, like my client bought a property and it's a brand new realtor, I never talked to them, I would make an effort to reach out to them and update them, just to have an opportunity to meet with them for coffee, because they were really pleased with the level of service I provided to their client. Right. So that was
Yeah.
also a big part of my focus.
That's one of those, key conversations that could then lead to the breaking bread, right? Which is all part of the system and the process, which is awesome. Like, yeah, it's refreshing to hear that, because a lot of folks have a lot of business coming to them, but maybe aren't putting in those efforts, like nowhere near that type of results. But like they just get complacent or comfortable with what's coming, and that's it, right? And to put those consistent actionable items in place and see the results, it must feel pretty rewarding. But aside from that, like coaching has obviously been such a huge impact on your career. Is there any other factor or that has influenced your business outside of just what we just talked about?
Well, I like being part of a Better Way was a big part, because I think after I joined the Better Way, that's when I started seeing growth as well. I joined the Better Way in 2017. Prior to that, I was part of a small boutique type of brokerage. Great people, but we didn't produce enough volume for us to hit top tier with the lenders. And actually, that's when top tiers started happening, when you would see different sets of offerings from lenders. And I called one of main monolines and I said, I called the BDM and I said, I'm just curious, what tier are we? And he said, oh, don't worry about this. You guys are at the bottom. And I'm like, okay, I gotta revisit which brokerage I need to join. So, and I got introduced to Cory through a mutual connection who said, because I called our mutual connection and I said, look, I would like to join a powerhouse of a brokerage so I can get my top tier I'm looking for, but they have to be good people, because I'm not going to be working with a bunch of overachieving jerks. I don't know, right?
They're
And
out
he
there.
said, you got to call Cory then. So that's how I joined up. And it's been, I feel, why I bring this up, I feel that because it's a very competitive market out there, that I can be extremely competitive. I can offer a rate that maybe other brokers cannot, right? Or provide a level of service, quick turnaround, because we have top underwriters, right? So that was really, really also a big part of my success, I must say.
Lena, so with like the listening to you and knowing you, obviously, like you put a high priority on being successful at work, but also being successful at home, whether it's health and family and the kids. So how do you manage all of that? Because everyone's busy, right? And obviously you're very, very, very busy. So how do you manage the day to day?
It's a fine dance, work and life balance is tough. I tried to tweak my schedule over the last year, I would say. I realized I do my best work first thing in the morning, like before the world wakes up. So I get up at 5. From 5 to 6:30, I usually do my most important work, right? So let's say if I need to submit a file, that's when my brain is the freshest. So that's when I submit files, review documents, if something is difficult that I need to work on, so it's done. Then it's very important for me to get my kids ready for school. They're teenagers. They probably don't need me anymore, but I've done it for years. So it's important for me to make them breakfast, to pack them lunch. Because I'm Russian, it has to be warm lunch. It cannot be just a cracker. I'm very That's me thing. And I also, because my youngest son plays soccer at pretty high level, and he has practices like 4 times a week, and they're pretty early practices. It's important for me. We have family dinners every evening, and I make that dinner. So the only way I could make it work is that I'm done at 4:30 every day. So my reminder pops up in Outlook saying done. So I can pack it up and just go and, do stuff with my family, have dinner. And then if I need to, because usually what happened prior, between 4 and 6, my phone would just explode. And if I start tending to those phone calls, my family is now starving, or my son goes to practice hungry. And I'm like, we have to do something about it. So, so that's how I changed. And then I would return phone calls if they are urgent, if I see like this is a priority between 6:30 and 7. At 7, I'm done. Friday is a sacred. Friday evenings, I spend them only with my family. We just have some family time, watch a movie together. Just you kind of try to do like this. And because I'm like I finish early on Fridays, I make up for it Saturday mornings. So I would like, if somebody, because some of my clients would like to meet with me and they can't because they work all day, then I'll just fit them before 12 on a Saturday. That worked great for me.
That's just time blocking to a T. Like that is so important. Like I've definitely learned, like I have young kids now, and now they're just starting to get playing sports, and it's such a struggle sometimes because I am going late. Like I'm good at time blocking, but I'm definitely not good at ending the day. I'm taking that tip and I'm getting a reminder that says done at 4:30, because like that has definitely been my struggle. But like wow, like, and then you mentioned like just like Fridays are sacred, like that time. Like I'm going to start using that as well. Like that is pretty cool. I like you clearly are disciplined and focused on the family first, which is inspiring.
Well, I got so many requests. Let's meet Friday, like Zoom. I don't meet in person. Let's meet on Zoom on Friday evening. And I'm like, sorry, I'm already booked up. I'm busy. Like, I'm not available. And yeah, Fridays have been open and they've been great. We've done wing nights, watching a movie as a family. It's great. I highly recommend it.
Love it. Okay. As we kind of look to kind of wrap up, this has been excellent. Like you've shared some really good stuff. Like I got a boatload of notes here, and if anyone's listening, I sure hope you're writing notes, because there's some good stuff here. I want to touch on just some tools, tips, or tactics that maybe you could share. And like this could be maybe any software or anything that's been essential to your daily work. Maybe a strategy or a game changer for your business, like outside of what we talked about. Is there anything that comes to mind that you could share?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually a tip from Cory. Before, I would always meet with my clients over Zoom to go over the mortgage commitment and compliance documents, always, right? And I felt it was so important until Cory gave me what he does. He said, I just record the commitment. I do my screen share. I record my screen and go over the approval, with the important highlights, to bring it up to the client. And then I'll just package it up and email it to them so they can look at it on their own time. And I thought, why don't I do this? So now every commitment I get, I have a templated email. I would share my screen, go over the approval, life insurance, all those documents, application. I send it to my clients, and I got nothing but amazing feedback. Because before, my Zoom call with the client would take me 45 minutes minimum, like 45 minutes to an hour on a Saturday morning, which it's a lot of time. To do a video and completely package it, send it in with what's outstanding, takes me 20 minutes maximum, right? So that saved me a lot of time. And some of my clients said, look, I watched this video twice because I didn't want to miss anything. Or my husband came from work, so he watched it. So it's been super helpful. So that's highly recommend. It's like high tech almost, but it's not, right? People love it. And another thing I implemented is from the core. They do pre-approval meetings with clients, something I've never done. So I just pre-approve a client, send them pre-approval. This is your price. Now I insist on a pre-approval meeting over Zoom, which takes about 15 minutes, where I show them what lenders are looking for, like TDS, GDS, why we have this number, and they get it. Like, if you pay out this credit card, I can get you more. But also, I have Canadian Mortgage app calculator. So I share my website, and I show them. So this is if this is your price, this is your down payment, this is how you calculate your monthly payment. And if you have condo fees, these are your additional payments. And they love it because now they can run their own payments. I don't need to answer their text on a Saturday night what my payment will be. I also discuss deposit and how many days I need for financing. So that freed up my Saturday evenings and Friday nights when people are shopping and they're like, oh, what's my payment? Where do I get the deposit? Is it okay if I take it from my line of credit because it's sitting in RRSPs for now? So it's also freed up my time. So I highly recommend it as well.
That's a really good point. That was a game changer for us early in our careers too. Is actually giving that tool to be able to calculate your payments, calculate taxes, strata payments, all of that. But the plan, you mentioned the plan, like the pre-approval call, like that was a big piece too, because you're also selling the strategy, and then when the deal does go live, I would imagine that's saving you time as well, because you've already sold the strategy and what you're ultimately going to be moving forward with from like a lender perspective or what have you. So when the deal goes live, it's not, hey, by the way, here's your approval with Scotiabank. Like they're already expecting that based on that call that you would have had earlier on. Cory, maybe you could touch on like that screen share piece. Like I would imagine you're using Loom for that. Like that has saved many hours of time for a lot of folks.
Yeah, that's been a game changer for me, and obviously, Lena, we've talked about it, and it's just a way to not only be efficient, because you can be efficient in your business but not effective. But Loom actually provides both of those. It checks both boxes where you're efficient with your time. You're taking that client commitment call that, let's say it's 45 minutes, and if you can get that down to 20 minutes or 10 minutes, it's a better experience for the client. But it's not shying away. It's using technology to become efficient and effective in your business, and clients like it. And in that video, and I'm sure Lena does it as well, there's still the option to do a call if a client wants to jump on a call. But what you find is 70-80% of the time the client's completely fine with that explanation, because you're covering off the key points. And then if there's two of them, they can watch it together. And with scheduling, sometimes it's tough to do during the day, and then you're actually selfishly freeing up your evening, right? You're not doing a commitment call at 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. You've got that out of the way at 3 o'clock instead. So it frees up time during your evening. So kudos to you, Lena, to implementing that in your business.
No, it's been phenomenal. Like definitely a game changer for me.
Awesome. Okay. Looking ahead, what are your goals for next year? You've had so much growth. Like, do you want to keep going there? Like, what does that look like going forward?
I would like to do a little bit more. Like, as long as I do more and I grow, 20% growth could be maybe a little bit ambitious, but as long as every year I have my best year, I'm happy with that. I also would like to automate more, right? Because a lot of client follow-up is very manual for me right now. So it's a manual text, like a phone call or an email. So I would like to do more of involve my CRM to do a lot of communication, still being in touch with them, but do it so it frees up some time, and I'm better at communicating as well. So I'm more in touch with them. That's my goal for next year.
That's a great goal. Just in some closing thoughts, honestly, it's been one of the best episodes we've done. Like, there's been so much good stuff here. Cory and I were actually chatting before we started recording, and one of the questions that we'd like to ask everyone is like, what advice would you give, Lena 20 years ago when you started? But Cory had a better twist on it. Maybe Cory, you can kind of take that away. I actually really like the way you wanted to approach that.
Yeah, like as Dean said, there's a lot of questions of what should you do, but I'm going to reverse that and ask you, Lena, like what would you stop doing, or what did you need to stop doing to be able to kind of achieve the growth levels that you've achieved over the past few years?
I think it's critical to know the industry well and to be a good technician, right? Meaning to be able to put a mortgage together and present it to the lender well, right? because that increases your success rate of approval. And the lenders also, if your paperwork is dialed in and you don't waste their time, they appreciate it. So they also will pick up your file because they know that it's going to be a quick and easy one to approve. So I think my advice to myself 20 years ago would have been to learn more about the industry and lender products. But at the same time, it's very important because it's a sales job, right? To grow your sphere, to grow your realtor base, client base, staying in touch with your past clients. I didn't have a CRM for the first 15 years of my career. That was crazy. As soon as I got my CRM and started doing video updates, I do video updates every month to my clients, 5 minutes. People come back to me, they ask questions, they refer people. When I make that anniversary phone call, it's guaranteed 2 months later, they would refer somebody to me. So as long as we keep growing our business, don't look at it like, oh, I just need to do this mortgage today. It's more than that, right? I think this would keep you busy, right? Yeah. And growing.
Yeah, great stuff. I mean, that definitely hits home for me, and I would imagine a lot of folks listening. So I think that's where we'll wrap. Like, this was a great call. Like, we really appreciate you sharing, like, the willingness to share this. It goes a long way, and I know you're such a collaborative person in our team and willing to help. Would it be okay for our listeners to reach out to you if they have a question or anything that maybe came up? And if so, we'll attach your contact details in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, they could definitely reach out. I would be happy to help or answer any questions. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, you guys. Lena. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. If you found value in this show, please subscribe to our channel on your preferred platform. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Your support is incredibly appreciated. We also welcome your reviews and feedback, which are crucial in helping us deliver outstanding educational content. Feel free to share your thoughts. A 5-star review would be fantastic if you think we earned it. Lastly, a vital announcement about Backpack Buddies, our chosen charity for 2024. This remarkable organization addresses a hidden hunger issue many are unaware of. In British Columbia, while school districts provide meals during school hours, numerous children face food scarcity at home, particularly during weekends. Backpack Buddy steps in to support these vulnerable children, ensuring they have easy to prepare, familiar food for weekends. This is achieved through collaborations with schools and an extensive distribution network. Your contribution can make a significant difference. With just $20, you can give a child in need a food bag from Backpack Buddies filled with enough meals and snacks to sustain them over the weekend and more. Once again, thank you for listening, and see you on the next one.